They picked the gyro in this position, but this
Oh.
is infamous. We've seen A play it before. But yeah, Panaboo Disruptor,
Mhm.
especially Panaboo Disruptor versus Hoodwink, this is a counter that they absolutely love, especially when you have a hero with such simple initiation as the Tiny. This does end up being core. Even if you get that Ava toss-off, if you can't finish off those kills, you don't get the kills, as well as now having a hero that's going to very easily be able to trace down that Hoodwink in the trees. Really like this hero. Really like whenever Pandaboo is able to get it in his hands. The only concern, as we always bring up with this disruptor, is if you are playing from ahead, you feel fantastic. As soon as you start playing from behind, where you start glimpsing heroes away, where you feel like you're not able to be the aggressor, you're not able to punish them with your vision, the hero definitely suffers. But
Mhm.
that's where a steal a little bit here. They take the Sven, a hero that I think Infamous would have loved if they didn't pick the gyro just now. I really like what NoPing are getting for him.
And I think the best part at this point now, you've got Disruptor and Nyx, you've got the Mars, you've got the Sven, you've got a lot of lockdown, a lot of teamfight power. Now, still on the lookout for Dark Mako to maybe play up that Kunkka. You would have an absolutely incredible, insanely hard to deal with amount of both lockdown and teamfight setup that Infamous are really not going to have an immediate answer to. They are much more looking kind of hit and run with what they currently have put together. Maybe if you get a BKB up on the gyrocopter, you stand a little bit of a better chance, but then there's just sort of flat damage and durability for the NoPing side with their cores, especially if the Kunkka gets thrown in. So Infamous are going to have to be a little bit more careful on that front. We do see the Sand King come out for them, though. So that's that hero for Sacred that we were sort of calling for. A hero that can be a little bit more active across the map compared to that Lycan.
And still being incredibly flexible coming into last pick as well. We've seen Alone play the Sand King before. We've seen A play the Gyrocopter before. We've seen Alone play the Tiny. We've seen Michael play the Tiny. They really could put anyone anywhere at this point, but I love the Sand King, especially versus the Sven. It will put a little bit more pressure that some of these offlaners that have already been previously banned out would have been able to put on. But now, who are you going to get to play with Lumiere? They think that they need a Lumiere hero. I sort of believe they need a Lumiere hero as well. We've just seen the A Gyrocopter too many times, and I think Gyro versus Fen is a very hard losing matchup for the Gyrocopter. Unfortunately, the hero that I would go for pretty much immediately here on Infamous would have been the Troll, but the Troll just doesn't feel good versus Disruptor. It doesn't feel good versus Nyx Assassin. You always get stunned up, even though you're playing into a double melee lane, which is textbook. Double melee lane, you're going to play Troll into it and you're going to win because you have Whirling Axes. But in this situation, I think it's just more fuel for the fire where it would be a setup on Lumiere instead of him actually being able to play the game normally. So I'm really searching for one of those new carry heroes with Monkey already taken out of the pool. I'm really struggling to find what he's going to play to go up against this Angel Sven. It feels like Sven is the strongest hero that they could have picked up in this draft, and it's got me really feeling scared for Infamous. I think the Magnus would still be a fantastic pickup for them, even though you can't trade up immediately with the Sven. I think you would play fantastically versus both supports and whatever hero Dark Mago does end up going for. I think they didn't pick the Kunkka in that previous phase because it was a little bit blind, but
There
after
it is
seeing the Sand
now.
King, yeah, they go for it now, and it feels very safe. I'm very surprised they didn't ban it out on Infamous. They went for the Bristleback instead, which makes sense to me because if this is going to be a core Tiny, you don't want to get slowed down by those goos. You don't have to worry about an Ag's timing on top of everything else, but it just feels so NoPing. Again, it feels like every single NoPing hero that they got is something they have at least 30 games on with their lineup. I'm really concerned, as well as the carry pool being as limited as it is. I feel like if Lumiere isn't on this gyrocopter, which I don't think he is, you're not going to be on one of those A-listers. I don't think you can get Slark here either. I'm really worried for him.
Yeah, we'll see what they come up with. 2 seconds on the clock. Okay. Templar Assassin coming out, a hero that, I mean, since the kind of latest patch, it maybe dropped off a little bit in terms of that popularity, and they're actually going to put it mid, so it looks like it will... Oh, wait, hold up.
Lumiere Tiny.
Okay.
Okay.
That is not how I saw that one going, to be honest. But yeah, Lumiere on the pause one Tiny. TA will go mid. So you do have A on that gyrocopter. That is something that they always feel so confident with in terms of just how much pressure they can apply early on in the lane. And that gyro is now laning with a Tiny. So maybe there is a little bit of a combination play they can make here. Maybe not onto Oscar, but someone like Matthew, if he's not able to get that Spike Carapace up in the first couple of levels, could be vulnerable.
Still, it's very, very concerning for me. I don't know if I believe in the tiny. It's the same issue that you would have had if you went for the Magnus alternatively. And I don't know about this hero's prowess as a carry really anymore. You got a little bit more splash damage coming in from Tree Toss. You got, I believe, a little bit less attack speed all across the board coming from Grow, but those were the only changes in 7.30. So we are going to need to see an absolute working. I love that Lumiere is on that initiating carry. I love that he will be able to follow up to a lot of Sacred's goes, but if you fall behind for any second of this game, NoPing are going to run you over. That is their lineup. That is the way that they're going to play this. And if you ever are caught on the retreat, that's where we're going to see this Panda Boo Disruptor really start to put in the work, where it's going to be feed after feed after feed. I really just want to see Infamous firing on all cylinders, seeing them playing out of their minds, because it's elimination. It's do or die at this point. So Lumiere, he's got to mirror Dark Mago. He's got to probably be more farmed than Dark Mago. He's really got to pull something out of the bag here.
And we'll see if they can do it. It just seems like a little bit of a risk. You're down 0-1 in this series, and you've put yourself in a situation where the margin for error with this lineup sort of seems a little bit low. But if they pull it off, could be what they need. Could be that sort of maneuver that gets NoPing off guard. It just feels like Infamous have to play their game correctly. If they make any mistakes, as you said, NoPing are just going to kind of do what they do, run them over, play out the lineup exactly the way that they envisioned when they drafted it, and your options to respond will be limited. So Infamous have their work cut out for them, but if they want to stay alive in this event, they're going to have to take the win here. Unfortunately, we do have a bit of a pause at the start, although Infamous, I believe they say they're ready to go. So we should be resuming relatively soon, but a slight pause right off the bat here.
Yeah, the XDs, so many XDDs. Actually, so many XDDs.
We do have a bit of a DC from Panda, though, so apparently he wasn't quite ready just yet. But everyone else seems to be in high spirits. They're ready to go. So we can get Panda back in relatively quickly and get things underway. I don't know. I mean, a little impatient at this point, because I really do want to see what Infamous do here. There's a lot of aspects to their lineup that we recognize from some of their other performances, ones that have gone their way. It's just, can they pull it off this time? Just because it looks familiar doesn't mean you'll achieve similar results. So, very much interested to see if Infamous can pull the rabbit out of the hat here, as Panda is going to be reconnecting.
Yeah, and we really do need to see a lot coming out from Alone as well. Fortunately, he does have a ranged forest, so he will be able to get a lot of those stacks going for him, but we just need everyone to have a really good early game. If Lumiere falls behind, you are tiny. You do not have a recovery method. You are going to need to wait for at least that shard. Once you have the shard, I actually do believe that Lumiere will be able to keep up with the Sven, just because you do have that inherent cleave. But that's where the activity game is going to need to be through the roof. This is something that Infamous strive in. Whenever they're playing versus adversity and they have Infamous, or whenever they have A on this gyrocopter, it feels like this is when they do get to play in their wheelhouse. It does feel like now they are going to be the aggressors. We need to see the Infamous that's diving your tier 3s at 16 minutes into the game. An Infamous that, with their roster change, they definitely stemmed away from. It definitely felt like they wanted to play more towards their new players' strengths. And when you have players like Lumiere and Alone, you definitely want to play towards that later timing. But seeing the aggression coming out now, it's the only thing that is guaranteed in this game. Infamous need to run at you, and they need to be successful, or they're going to die trying.
Yeah, so it really has boiled down to just sort of one strat. That strat is just go. Go at them, see what you can get, see how aggressively A plays in the lane. So we'll see if NoPing are ready for it. You see them pushing across the river already, trying to sort of get that extra rune. Gonna throw down the Obs Ward, I believe. Alone may have actually spotted that. I don't see him pinging it or anything, but I think you can kind of suspect that was the play. But now Matthew keeps on faking it out. Not a crazy amount of HP, but that would have still been a fight underneath the tier 1 tower. So not going to be worth the risk. Instead, they'll just fight over the runes, and NoPing, well, I think they're going to get 2, but they get sort of run off further to the south. Panda is not willing to go in that situation, and no reason for him to do so. So even split on the runes, not a whole lot of early fighting. We're just going to settle into that laning stage, although as I say that, Matthew is trying to bully up Lumiere a little bit here. The Tiny hasn't skilled up anything just yet. But Matthew's honestly getting hit pretty hard in this situation, so I don't think he really wants to go back in, especially with A slowly but surely making his way over as... Ooh, we have another DC on the NoPing side. It's Dark Mago this time who drops out. So, well, first it was Panda, now it's Dark Mago. He is back in pretty quickly, though, so just a momentary issue, and well, I say that, hopefully it's momentary. There we go.
And this is something that was nerfed in 7.30. Nyx Assassin's ability to trade early on was definitely reduced, just having a little bit less of that inherent regen. And this lane is going to be interesting. A, being able to throw out a lot of those missiles. We see A constantly get aggressive, especially in the waves. You see he just has complete free reign to run at Oscar. Matthew even missing up the impale on him, a little bit unfortunate, but A really has to keep these heroes low. That will allow Lumiere, once he hits maybe level 3, to get that Avatos, to have those plays. Until then, though, I think Oscar, even though the salve was forced down from him, should be under really no stress here, especially if those missiles do end up landing on Matthew. And you even see A taking so much damage.
Impale.
Can't let that happen again.
Yeah. Because the next time, Oscar, he's not going to be level 1 forever. When that spear comes out, that is where A is going to have to be so incredibly careful. The impale into the spear is really just going to keep him locked down for a pretty substantial amount of time, and at that point, Lumiere, he doesn't really have the avalanche or the toss right now. Oh, A, going to get hit up again. Oscar, though, still not level 2. So, for now, it'll just be the trade-off. The homing missile comes in, and Matthew doesn't have a whole lot of regen, but he does have his courier coming. I assume, yeah, Tango and a salve coming out to him, so he should be okay once those are delivered, and he's probably just going to go right back in looking for the aggression. But Lumiere tries to hit him up first. Not going to be able to make the play.
Yeah, and that's where we always see this, I feel like, with Oscar and Matthew lanes. The wave is just pushing into Oscar. He is able to last it under tower, and then the enemy 5 scrambling to try and make something happen. I think A got a nice, pretty half pull there, so we'll be a little bit more efficient. Got some strong creeps in the ghosts as well, so denying a little bit of that XP coming in from Oscar. But yeah, bottom.
Bottom lane is where the action goes down. Panda gets jumped in on. Michael able to get first blood there with the acorn shot into the bushwhack. And Angel, he could do a little bit with the hammer, but it wasn't really enough. So Infamous on the board early. This is kind of the pace of play that we want from them. Try to take advantage. Maybe you can't do too much to the Sven, but Panda is going to be that sort of weak link in their lineup. We talked about it in the draft. That Disruptor's positioning is so unbelievably important, even this early, because if he gets jumped in on, you really don't have anywhere to go, as let's just miss another kill, because my camera works fantastic. Oscar picked off in the top lane, A and Lumiere jumping in onto it.
Yeah, and it's just the constant harass, the constant homing missiles. The spell really still is very, very efficient, even though they did really nothing to it. They actually did nothing to it in 7.30, aside from change up the shard very slightly. Fortunately, it's very difficult for them to ever make that play onto the Nyx Assassin, but that's where Oscar, lowest armor in the lane, I guess, aside from Lumiere, who is tiny, but that'll all shift pretty soon here. But that's where the timing, level 3 on Tiny, whenever you have him in the safe lane, you actually can put out a decent amount of damage. And look at that splash damage on Oscar. It actually does so much.
Well, meanwhile, back down bot, look at this. Michael, he's kind of bullying both of these heroes for now by himself. Sacred actually rotated out of the lane to pick up his ring, so you always sort of need to make that play. The Sand King has to step out for a moment unless he wants to sort of commit his courier, but the fact of the matter is he really doesn't miss out on anything extra. The lane's already pushed in, so Sacred wasn't necessarily going to be picking up those last hits anyway, and Michael makes sure that Angel doesn't really get free farm, although now it's Michael's turn to step out of the lane, which means Sacred is alone. Angel and Panda are going to try to hit him up. Stormhammer comes in, they get him with that first level up in Thunderstrike. It's not enough for the kill, but it's a good thing Sacred picked up that ring, because now he needs all of that HP regen.
And Pandaboo, nice pull. He's going to try to get it going here. Michael, if he times his right click, should be able to pull the aggro back from the wave. Okay, that works too. Acorn shot.
That works too. Angel's pulled back. Sacred, he thought about it, had a point up in the burrow, but without the Sandstorm to follow it up, I don't think he really would have had enough damage to secure that kill. But they're just trying to be as annoying as possible to Angel. Get Sacred some farm. Stormhammer, though, is going to hit, but there's the play. Bushwhack into Burrow. Angel's going to be able to heal through it, though, with the wand charges, and maybe he actually wins this. Fairy Fire out from Sacred is not going to be enough. He will fall. Now Michael, he's got to run, but Thunderstrike's on him. Will it be enough? One more hit drops him to about 15 HP, but he will survive. But if you're NoPing, You got the kill
This
that you
is
wanted, and now,
disastrous.
A, where is he gonna go? He's slowed up, he gets stunned by the Carapace. Oscar's just gonna keep on hacking away at him. One more hit. Can A deny to Roshan? Yes, he can, okay. It's gonna make that feel a little bit better, especially considering Oscar and Matthew both left the lane to chase after that one, but even with that being the case, that was still a pretty big kill on the other side, being able to take down that Sand King.
Even more important, poor Sacred and Michael, they lost, I think, 8 or 9 creeps there. Angel and Panabu just denied absolutely everything. They just spent a few too many spells and no Caustic Finale landing, not enough damage coming from the Sandstorm. I think he had to run out of his own. That was just absolutely terrible for them, where now you look at Sacred, he's catching up just a little bit with Michael rotating in and out, but this is free levels over to Angel, where he is going to be very comfortable rotating in and out of this lane, in lanes that Infamous, they need to succeed in, they need to do well in, because as soon as Dark Mago gets into the mix, that is when we're going to see these lanes either be strong enough to tank the aggression coming from the Kunkka or absolutely fall apart. And with this haste rune, you know Dark Mago is going to look for to make those plays.
He's got a haste, he's got the ghost ship up and running, so he's going somewhere. I really don't see any scenario where he just sits back and farms. He is going to clear out that creep camp first, but actually at this point the rotation may come to him. You see the Nyx Assassin making a move. Matthew is going to stop to actually deny the Obsword up here, so he's going to make sure A can't necessarily get any extra gold, and now he's got to walk away from the homing missile. He does have the Carapace though, so there really is no direct threat, and yeah, he is just going to walk away there. So no rotation, but he at least takes away some of those eyes in the jungle. Meanwhile, down bot, Angel and Panda eyeing up Sacred a little bit. Panda, though, only level 1 glimpse, so he wasn't really going to be able to get that one off, but now that he's starting to get those points up, he and Angel can do quite a bit of work here. Sacred does have to be careful. We saw him already get taken down once, and maybe that was extenuating circumstances as Sacred was the one to sort of initiate into that fight, but he needs to be very careful that he doesn't get caught off guard again.
Well, that's where Angel pops level 6. He's done with you. He's going to go start farming backwards through his jungle. Even got the Possess Mask if he wants a little bit of that HP regen. Yeah, it does see him just queue it up, and which will allow him as well to immediately go for the Echo Saber build. He's not going to stop on his way to get that Mask of Madness, something we see so many people grab, but look at Dark Mago. Wants to
Kunkka coming
contesting the stacks. Yeah.
Bushwhack's going to lock him down. There's the Burrow Strike to follow it up, but I don't think they have the damage for this, and now they're stuck inside of that kinetic field. That sets up an easy torrent into the Ghost Ship, both Sacred and Alone getting clipped by it, but NoPing are trying to focus in on Michael first. They do manage to bring him down. Now they can decide, do we want to go back in for that second round of fighting? And looks like the answer is going to be no, but they got the kill. They used that haste rune, and I do believe they spotted out, yeah, you see them scanning it even, they spotted out this stack on the Ancients. So they're going to try and take that away from Alone really as quickly as they possibly can, as the Carapace locks Alone down. Impale comes through, kinetic field being thrown down, so they're really just going to make sure that TA was not even remotely close to jumping in onto them.
No, and during all this time, you do just see Angel rotating to his jungle, getting the space. I'm just getting a little bit of deja vu, seeing a repeat of that previous game, as well as Dark Mago being Radiant Kunkka. Even though it's not quite as efficient as Dire, you do get this very nice medium camp down here, especially if your safe laner is already left out. You do just get to farm very, very quickly, and Sacred needs to be very careful. He has the Vanguard, but he is definitely not tanky, and that's where Infamous, they want to roll their opponents. They want to play into them, but with this TA last pick, he's going to be able to farm up quite the massive stack here, and the Ancient's going to stack it one more time as well, but you're not going to be able to get these early objectives very easily. You're going to have to play that waiting game, a waiting game that you've got a safe lane Tiny. We haven't seen a lot from him. We haven't heard anything from him for a while, and he's just going straight up for that Blink Dagger. And while you are going to have it in a decent amount of time, not nearly as fast as a mid-Tiny. It's definitely going to be a much slower burn out of Infamous, one that you can't help but feel is going to favor Angel in his Sven.
And the thing is, you have to look at it from that positional sort of difference as well. He's going to have that Blink Dagger at a good timing, but as you said, probably not as fast as he would as a mid laner. And then what he can do with that Blink Dagger is a little bit different compared to the mid-Tiny. You're still going to be making the same plays, looking for the same pickoffs, but... Oh, hold on. Matthew in danger of getting taken down there, but it looks like he will be able to walk away. But the concern with the Tiny, if he's your mid laner and he's making those plays, he's creating space for your carry to then catch back up. In this instance, Lumiere is the carry, and Alone, kind of swaps that role. You could buy time for the TA to farm, but it's not quite the same as Oscar gets himself picked off up top. He did throw the arena down, though, as Dark Mago is going to TP in. I believe they should at least get A with this kill, but I don't know about Lumiere. Lumiere's just going to walk away. Dark Mago doesn't really have the health to keep that one going.
Yeah, and they're lucky because that is all they lose. They are able to get the slight exchange advantage. Lumiere doesn't get displaced out of his lane yet, but we also haven't seen Lumiere make this rotation towards the bottom lane. With the carts, he might decide to make that decision, especially seeing that now Oscar is locked to this top side of the map. If he scouts out this Mars in a few moments here, he knows exactly where he's playing, and Lumiere, I think, has to be the one to make that decision to go to that off lane, because otherwise you're not getting anything. Panda Budo.
On to Panda. That's
nice, clean.
That's some hate. They throw down the sharpshooter as well as the epi, so they're not taking any chances. They are straight up getting that kill, and the ult being expended for the kill alone would have been a little bit iffy, but it clears the path for the tier 1 tower down bot. So they are looking to roll this into more than just, you know, one pick onto Panda. And with the creep wave here and Sacred hacking away, they should get that tower. Meanwhile, up in the north side jungle, Lumiere's getting a little bit pinged out here. Took down the courier with the tree toss. That's, I don't know if that was 100% intentional, but it is a nice play. But Matthew is prowling, and Lumiere, he has no idea. They don't realize that he's here, and that ends up not going great for him. He's going to get hit up by the X into the torrent. Oscar tries for the spear, but the outpost doesn't actually do much good in terms of latching on, and now things get a little bit awkward. Ghost Ship is going to come through. Oscar's still taking a lot of damage, though, but he's going to be able to throw down that defensive arena. It's just not enough to get him away from the avalanche, and that play looked so strange at the start, but at the end of it, Lumiere gets the kill and walks away safely, so the results are good enough.
Now, would you call tree grab a tree getting thrown at you a projectile? I don't know. Does Coliseum not block that? Whatever. Welcome to Dota.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
If we're going to ask those sorts of questions, we're going to be here all night.
But it is a very nice response. They really were quick to go for the retreat on the NoPing side as soon as they saw Sacred commit, but
this is a big opportunity.
Some really good plays, yeah.
Panda does throw down the ult before he goes down, though, although... Okay, never mind. I was going to say maybe he doesn't go down, but he will fall, and Oscar getting picked off as well, so it was a decent response attempt from the Disruptor. It's just not enough to actually turn the tides, although at this point, you do see the Sven kind of making his way over, so Infamous have to maintain cohesion here. If they start to spread out, things could get a little rough for them, but they will maintain some sort of formation here and largely just back themselves away, but that's big. 2 kills going their way off of really just a foot race for a rune.
Yeah, and a foot race that I don't think NoPing want to do. I don't understand why they're not making this rotation towards that top tier 1 tower. I understand why Angel might be slightly hesitant. There is a lot of farm on the map, especially when you see that many Infamous heroes playing towards their top outpost. But if this tower stands, it's so much more difficult to play in the area that you want to, and it makes it impossible to collapse on mid. So I'm a little bit confused with how NoPing are allocating their heroes, especially Oscar, now 0-4. He is really slowing down. He is not having a good time. All of his arenas have been used either defensively or unsuccessfully. And that's where I really see him struggling. Yeah, toss back. Where's Oscar?
Not in position, although now he's slowed up by the trap. He may not actually get out of here. Matthew and Panda, they're going to try to help out. Arena will be thrown down, but the second Matthew tries to go in, he's hit up by the toss. So really, he's now trapped in the fight as well, and this is going pretty horribly. Infamous are just going to run forward. They found 2 kills. They're looking for a third as Panda got hit up as well. Sacred stuns him, and I mean, Infamous, they are seeing the opportunities. They're taking advantage of the opportunities, but it feels like NoPing, in a lot of situations, are kind of leaving the door open for Infamous to make their move in.
It's definitely perplexing, and the smoke up, if this is successful on Angel, they have just absolutely won the map. It's a really good scan, though, coming in from NoPing.
That's a shallow TP, though. Yep, not deep enough in. And Angel, well, he's not easy to bring down here. He is going to make him work for it. Matthew's coming in as well, and Angel, he's going to try and turn around. Going for the stun onto Sacred. He gets hit up, though, by that homing missile, so he is going to get locked down. Static Storm comes through, but it's too late to help. Angel's taken down, and now those supports, they're stuck in the middle of the fight. The hero they came in to rescue is already dead, and they're going to be falling as well. Lumiere grabs the double. Oscar, okay, at least able to make a play alongside Dark Mago. They realize everybody else is up top. We can at least salvage 1 kill onto this TA, and Oscar getting that kill is actually pretty big. Not quite big enough to, you know, make up for the 3 heroes they lose up top, but he desperately needed a boost like that, and now he might get another one with Michael getting picked off as well.
Yeah, and they do make the good response. Dark Mago there with the X on Alone in the mid lane. He stopped the TP. Alone wanted to be top, but they just didn't let him. And that's where they're playing really well around the Spirit Vessel. If they get
Uh-oh.
Lumiere as well, yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing way too much here.
So all of a sudden, Oscar, I mean, there we go. With this kill, that's pretty much his blink. He goes from 0-4 to 1-4-3, and it's still not as great as it could be, but all of a sudden that Mars, who Infamous were sort of looking at as a non-factor through the first 15 minutes, he's got blink, he can make these plays now, and with Dark Mago there to back him up, Infamous, it really feels like they gave him a little bit too much there.
And it's the very simple idea of never respond to your opponent's aggression. Always be the aggressor. Best offense is your best defense, and even though Angel dies top, you do see just everyone commit. There was a dog pile. There were 4 heroes committed there. You force the map to then look very awkward for Infamous, where all of these heroes try to spread back out, get to where they need to be, and NoPing are there with the punishment. A punish that Dark Mago is
Ooh.
so good at, especially with the X marks. That's why he plays Tiny and Kunkka. This is
Oscar
pretty unfortunate, though.
unable to hit with the spear, but this fight's still getting a little bit weird. A throws down the call down. Matthew responding with the Carapace, but the second the Carapace is down, Lumiere says, I'm in. He wants the fight, but there's going to be the Static Storm thrown down. The X comes in. The Ghost Ship will connect. They pull him back into the river, but Sacred's in. Burrow Strike into Epicenter. Lumiere still trying to get away. Dark Mago needs to be able to catch up. He can't quite close that gap, though, with the Glimpse. He's going to pull him back in. Dark Mago, though, couldn't get off the hit. Lumiere is able to get away. Dark Mago's the one to fall. Oscar falls now as well, and this is turning into an absolute disaster for the NoPing side. They will lose for the only survivor is the man who wasn't in the fight in the first place. Angel was just minding his own business, farming up elsewhere, and that just felt like they were trying to make a home run play there, and instead it's a bit of a swing and a miss as NoPing lose 4, and they don't get any kills, and they lose their tier 1 top.
And that goes to show you how flawless these initiations need to be from Oscar. If he ever whiffs like that and Angel isn't in the vicinity, you don't have your get out. You don't have your reset card. Everything goes pretty terribly after that point, especially Dark Mago falling the way he did. He just got completely kited out, and you're trying to kill a Tiny. Unfortunately, a Tiny that has 25 armor and 2000 HP with your Sven not getting involved in these fights. Fortunately for NoPing, that is their silver lining, pretty much always. You have Angel farming on the other side of the map, always picking up speed, and this would be a huge pick if they find Alone in the jungle here. Oh, they guess up.
Vision, they're going to go in onto A instead. That's a kill. Can't deny that, but it's not the TA. They do get in onto Michael as well, though. Oscar is able to make the initiation happen, blinking forward, getting the arena into the spear stun, but here comes Sacred, blinking his way forward. Burrow Strike comes in, Sharpshooter connects, Oscar taken down, and now this fight's looking a little bit more awkward. Panda did get the Static Storm, that's going to keep Lumiere away, and now they actually glimpse him all the way back to the fountain as well, but that's not exactly an in for NoPing just yet. Angel doesn't really have too much he could do. He could blink forward, but without the vision on Sacred, you'd be blinking into a Sandstorm with no actual target. So, I mean, NoPing get a kill, but that's Oscar for a Gyrocopter, and you see a near immediate response from Infamous. They're going to smoke up themselves. I believe, though, I think they smoked up under that ward. So NoPing should see this coming. Question is, do they avoid the fight, or do they try to actually intercept their opponents here? They do now have that halberd up on the Kunkka, so the disarm against the likes of Lumiere alone would be pretty big for them, as they are looking for Panda. They're able to jump in onto him for now, but okay, NoPing can't really save him. Oscar's now the one in trouble. Sharpshooter comes in, and well, I said NoPing maybe saw it coming, but they weren't able to respond in time. Infamous still get 2 kills out of it.
And now, going forward, they need to be so careful because the stakes are just that high. You have Deso on TA. TA is still TA. You get the double meld hit up, and suddenly, Roche is now an Infamous side. And a Roche that, unfortunately, is not the most important, but this will allow you to now get out onto the map, breach into that Sven's triangle. It displaces Angel, and until you have this BKB, which will be farmed up pretty quickly on the Sven, you will not see him really want to show up these fights, at least on purpose, unless he really gets forced into an awful situation. Angel is going to be mode farm. I'm going to do something else while you guys try to finish up your other items, because without this double BKB timing, we're even seeing the Kunkka struggle to exist in these fights that both the Gyrocopter and the Sand King are showing up to, just doing a little bit too much damage. And this is without Sacred having that Sandstorm Radius talent, the talent that wouldn't be so good on paper, but in actuality is pretty fantastic. It makes it so difficult to ever approach that Sand King. And they're looking for the pings onto A. A simple gyro trying to stack up, but this is all Matthew can find. This is not ideal, but it's something.
Yeah, they just need to strike at any target available. So they will get that kill. Oscar is the one to get the credit for it, and I don't know. At this point, if you're NoPing, those kind of plays I think are what you need to do for the next couple of minutes. Fight around that Aegis. Don't go directly into the strength of your opponents. Try to sort of pick at the edges, continue to create space for the Sven, and see what Angel can do for you later on in the match. If they just go head first into it, we've seen that the last couple of times. It hasn't worked out fantastically for them. So maybe a slightly more subtle approach for NoPing can kick the can down the road. Maybe we get to the 25-30 minute mark and we'll see where they stand team fight wise.
And that's where, really, aside from Oscar, all of your cores are doing fine. We will get there eventually. Oscar really needs to get this BKB in a reasonable fashion. He already has one component, but aside from that, we are playing the waiting game a little bit. A game that Infamous, I said that they wouldn't be comfortable playing into, but if they're able to walk into a lot of these timings, especially these luxury timings, like the halberd being built up on Sacred, or really doing anything with this tiny, you're just going to see these items come with that a little bit faster. And here's the smoke into the triangle. They have to be ready for this on NoPing. Otherwise, this is going to be the immediate collapse onto that tier 2 mid. This is going to be a disaster.
Matthews jumped in on, doesn't get the carapace off in time. Bushwhack pulls him in. Lumiere, meanwhile, goes for the tossback, catching out the Sven, but Angel pops the BKB and the God's Strength. They do throw down the Static Storm. They've taken down Michael, but it's not enough. Angel will still fall. Dark Mako and Oscar, though, hoping to go in onto the Templar Assassin. Can they get through the first life? Yes, they can. Now they turn their attention onto Sacred, trying to finish off that Sand King before the TA gets back into the fight. They're not able to do so, but the Ghost Ship does still come through, but Sacred used that time to channel out the Epi, so he was still able to trade out the damage before he falls. And at this point, I think Infamous are going to be able to control the field. Oscar will be taken down. They at least get Dark Mago out of there, or no, they don't. He got hit up by the homing missile. Maybe they can continue to chase him. Lumiere is going to blink forward. Avalanche coming through, connecting onto both. Matthew is going to basically try to create as much of a distraction as possible, and I think that might just be enough. Dark Mago is making his way back, but the homing missile hits again. A is trying to push in with the rocket barrage, but that's not enough damage from a support gyro. Meanwhile, Lumiere hit up by the X, pulled back in, hit by the spike carapace actually, so they may bring him down. They do get him, and now he got clipped by that impale as well. This is suddenly turning into a kind of horrible fight for Infamous. They go so far forward that NoPing bring that reinforcement. They get everyone back into the fight, and alone, he's just dead.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. They could have just left. It was a position that was completely won for them. They would have been able to get a lot of damage on this tier 2 tower if they didn't do that, but Infamous kind of throw really hard there. They didn't have BKB on TA. They didn't have a lot of items in what was coming off of a relatively successful fight, even though you were losing Sacred and Michael. This just feels pretty terrible after the fact. All of this speed now goes towards the Kunkka finishing up a BKB of his own. You're already struggling to kill him before. Now without any of that damage coming in from either the Sand King or the Hoodwink, it's just way too risky of a dive. I don't know why they tried doing that, especially versus a Nyx Assassin. Just a little bit too crazy.
And the worst part is, you do your sort of cost-benefit analysis there. Even if they do find that kill into Dark Mago, they weren't going to get objectives off the back of it. They were too far forward, and now Sacred's in, but he's going to get immediately hit up. They get him with the arena into the spear stun. Sacred dead, A dead as well, and Angel, well, back with a vengeance there. Pops the God Strength, has the teammates in for the backup, and Infamous, they've got to get it in check right now. That's back-to-back plays where they're just leaving that little bit of space that NoPing then surge into to really set up the punishment. And net worth lead that Infamous had been painstakingly sort of nurturing over the first 20 to 23 minutes, it's gone. They're pretty much even now, and BKB has been picked up by the Kunkka. Dark Mago, I mean, he's ready to go at this point. He's got BKB, he's got X into the Ghost Ship, so they're going to look for that fight. They're not going to get it initially, though, but Infamous, I don't know about this one. Lumiere, okay. Well, tried to blink forward, couldn't get the toss back. The glimpse will now get him away from that fight, and everyone's going to reset, but that could have gotten dangerous.
Yeah, it does feel like NoPing now, though, are going to be in that driver's seat. A lot of those supplemental items finally being picked up. There's a blink on the Nyx Assassin. There's what I believe to be... Okay, nothing coming in from Pandabu yet. He is still the bottom of the barrel. He's definitely the fish struggling the most. But everyone else getting closer to that BKB on the Mars. Dark Mago, again, not skipping a beat. He's just such a stable mid laner. I feel like he never has truly awful games. Has a BKB of his own, which now you're going to need to rely on a lot of that damage coming from the TA during her BKB, where if you're popping your BKB just to not get halberd, I don't think you can really deal with that in a fight, especially with how long these team fights have been going. If they're not able to kill either the Nyx Assassin or the Disruptor at the beginning of these engagements, Infamous are going to absolutely struggle because they don't have BKBs on the Tiny. They don't have anything coming in from Sacred, so they are very susceptible to the Static Storm still.
And here comes NoPing, smoked up as 4, pushing their way into the jungle. Meanwhile, the Kunkka acting as the sort of trailer on that play. He's a little too far away now, but they're trying to go in anyway. Sacred, though, nice play with the burrow. Unfortunately, he burrows directly into the Carapace as well as the Static Storm. Sacred taken down. Angel pushing forward. They're going to try to get the Gyrocopter out of here early, take away the threat of that stun. And they do have to trade Matthew, but they will get the kill. Now they're in onto the Hoodwink. Michael's going to get caught, and really at this point, yeah, nobody's there to help him. TA's just going to TP out, probably the smarter choice, and Lumiere just doesn't want to get involved at all. He's now TPing over to the other side of the map, too. So, NoPing, we kept on saying it. It felt like they were building themselves up over those last couple of fights, and now, I mean, they're built up. They're looking for it. They're jumping onto a lone mid, and the TA, not going to be easy to bring down, but Dark Mago's coming in. If they could get off that torrent, they're going to try for it. I don't think they have it, but they do have a lone trapped up inside of that kinetic field. Buyback coming in from Michael. They're rushing reinforcements to try and help this out, but the TA just getting hit up too heavily. Alone will fall. Now Lumiere, he's stunned. They got that Spirit Vessel onto him as well. The kinetic field being thrown down again, so Lumiere quite literally has nowhere to go, as he is going to get trapped up, taken down. Dark Mago gets the kill, and now the reinforcements that did arrive for Infamous feel like they're a little too late, but they do actually hit up Oscar, and now Angel dying as well. Good snipe from Michael in there with the sharpshooter. So they will find those 2 kills. Dark Mago, though, should be able to pop the BKB and TP out. But Infamous, those last 2 kills really pull quite a bit of that back, but the losses they sustained in the first place felt like it might have been a bit avoidable.
Yep, they just stay a little bit too long. Oh, Pandaboo might be next on the table. I think,
TP.
actually. Yeah, nice Yules.
Matthew's here to try and help, but yeah, he very quickly realizes that's too many heroes. Matthew backs away. Panda will be sacrificed. That's a 3rd kill now for Infamous, so they do lose 2 of their courses. Oh, Sacred.
Oh.
That's so unfortunate. He splits the needle, or threads the needle, rather, but in the worst possible way. Michael gets taken down, and at that point, Sacred's kind of just lucky he doesn't get jumped in on either.
Just kicked through their legs. They were none the wiser that there was a Sand King that burrow struck right in between them. Unfortunately, yeah, you lose Michael, but now the map will reset just a little bit. But in both of those fights, the real key takeaway is how important these BKBs are for everyone. Even if this Sven is able to stand up and burst anyone, and they feel like they need to back as soon as that BKB God Strength is committed, without it, he is still a very, very weak hero. You lop off another free 500 HP, lop off that BKB, and it does feel like he is definitely a target that you can hit with your magic damage, especially coming in from that sharpshooter. It just feels like you have enough, but they need to get those very specific circumstances. I think in the same vein that Infamous threw a little bit there, NoPing 100% throw by just sitting there without a BKB on Sven, without God Strength, thinking that they would have enough damage in the tank, where their lineup doesn't have nearly as good burst damage as Infamous's does. Infamous just has what they need in the Hoodwinked, where they have to meet that a Nyx Assassin and Disruptor, where control is fantastic, but you can't really get too ahead of yourselves when you do make those crazy plays, because momentum definitely does shift. But with Roche respawning, it's really what were you able to amass in that time. Unfortunately, Lumiere still about 1400 away from his BKB. Might not be able to finish before NoPing decide to push the envelope here. And that's where Infamous might be playing at a pretty severe disadvantage. Lumiere, even though he's been able to make a lot happen in these team fights, if you're caught in that kinetic field, you are very unhappy. Same with the arena. You still don't want to be caught in those positions.
Yeah, so Infamous would love for this sort of confrontation around the Roche pit to be delayed just a few more minutes. Lumiere's close. Once the BKB's up, you are a lot less afraid of some of that lockdown on the opposing side. Obviously, you can't ignore it entirely, but your Tiny's going to be able to maneuver a little bit more, so they just need that little bit of extra time, and NoPing, they're not exactly pushing too far forward right now. They're content to sort of sit back and farm themselves. Of course, I mean, their cores are farming out fantastically. You see Dark Mago right on cue getting the AC finished off for himself, so if he's into the fight with an AC, with the arena into the spear stun, with Angel popping the God Strength and the BKB and just hammering away, Infamous's lineup is not going to be able to stand up against that kind of damage in that short of a time frame, so they've got to be very careful. As actually, Matthew's just going to jump in. That's a bold move. Angel going in onto the gyrocopter as well. As A will be taken down, Michael dead, Sacred, good play in there with the epicenter. Lumiere's going to try to follow it up, but Static Storm does come out, connecting onto about 2 or 3. The Ghost Ship now flies through as well. Sacred's in a bit of a bad way. Lumiere dropping low as well. He's got the Spirit Vessel on him. The Spear Stun is now going to lock him down, and this is turning into a bit of a rough one. Matthew does get taken down, but honestly, I do not think NoPing care. They find 4 kills there. They've now forced a buyback out from Sacred as well, and the path to Roshan feels relatively clear for them. Can Infamous contest? I don't think they
Unfortunately, Angel just didn't pop BKB. Very simple mistake. You get on the high ground, you feel like you're the initiator, but you lose track of the Sand King. Sacred did such a good job hiding himself. And actually, I don't think they have this Roche. They don't have God Strength. This is not very fast. They're just going to need to sit here and beat him with their fists. But here we go. As soon as the Gyro is here, I think they're going to get the Vision in the pit with the cooldown if they really need to. But yeah, look at how healthy Roche is.
They get through a third of its HP maybe, and yeah, like, they can't do that. Angel had to buy back. He used the God Strength. I mean, the BKB is available, but that wasn't really going to be enough for them to just barrel their way through. So Infamous have to pay a little bit of a price themselves. They lose about 2 or 3 heroes, some buybacks expended on their own side, but Roshan remains up in the air, remains unclaimed, and Infamous are actually going to smoke. This is a very aggressive play from them, but maybe they can make it happen. If they get the jump, this could go fantastically, but Matthew's actually in there first. They do jump in onto Oscar, however, but there's going to be that Static Storm getting thrown down again. Ghost Ship coming through. Sacred actually just got knocked out of it by the spear, but over on the backside, you do see Angel pushing his way in, but this time he still actually didn't pop the BKB, so he's not able to get that kill onto Michael, and now things are getting a little bit awkward. Oscar taken down, buying back immediately, but they are still in onto Alone. They've hit him up with the disarm into the torrent, so they'll lock Alone down. A buyback now from the Templar Assassin, as neither side is entirely willing to give up on this Roche Pit. A quick TP to the outpost gets that TA back into the fight, and ET, we're kind of back where we started, minus some buybacks and a couple of spells being thrown out there.
And that's where this does heavily favor the Disruptor, who has a Smoke of Deceit. I don't think we have anything coming out right now on either of the supports on Infamous. They need to take this aggression in stride. Unfortunately, nobody has BKBs right now, but this is an opening that heavily favors Infamous if they can find those initiations, but they simply can't. They're really at the whim of NoPing right now. If they wanted to, they could smoke up, and that's exactly what they do. If they find an initiation on anyone without BKB, specifically Alone, that'd be fantastic, but let's see if they miss their timing here. If the BKBs get to reset, Infamous are going to feel a lot safer, as well as Lumiere.
Matthew blinks up, goes for the stun, only hits onto A, but they do hit up Michael as well, so the Hoodwink should be taken down here. Matthew did have to sacrifice himself, though, but there's going to be the Ghost Ship coming in, connecting onto 2. A will be taken down. Lumiere, he was still stuck up inside of that kinetic field. He had the BKB, but he is going to try and hold it. Now we do see it come into play, but at this point, Infamous have lost their position. They are pushed back to their Tier 2 tower. We did get a buyback from the Gyrocopter, though, so he does return to the fight, but it feels like they've given up some ground, and NoPing are going to try to take advantage of that pushing into the pit, but once they realize that their opponents are coming, they're back in again. A, he just bought back. He can't afford to die again, but they're going to be able to take him down, and now they got the X on to the Sand King. They'll pull Sacred back in. What a Burrow Strike, though, onto 3, but the Arena gets thrown down by Oscar in exchange, so Sacred still locked up, still taken down. Nothing the TA can do there, as Alone has to back off, and now it's taken, what, 3 separate attempts at it, but NoPing do finally have control of this Roche Pit.
And you see how scared Alone is, just seeing Pandaboo walking up, knowing that if they have vision of him, it is all over. If one glimpse, and then he is completely captured. And now finally, we do have the Aegis being claimed. Not as cool, no cheese this time around, but it's a fight that Infamous were continuously forced to take. I think, really, if Michael doesn't die there, this game looks incredibly different. I think they were really convinced that they needed to fight over this ward spot, a ward spot that Matthew threw away his life to gain for his team, but it was absolutely worth it. They have all the knowledge, all the vision in the world, and with Disruptor Kunkka, again, a combo they continuously play on NoPing's side, they have that go. If you don't have BKBs, you are just caught. There's nothing you can do about it. They kite you out. Angel has been so patient with his BKB, so patient he's died before, but he gets to wait so long, commit after the buyback on the Gyrocopter, just gets to save everything. And now you're in a very big problem. You're in a huge hole on Infamous' side, net worth-wise. Nobody is really getting any more items in the next few minutes here. And a full Daedalus on Angel. He's the big winner of the game right now.
And Oscar as well. If Angel's the big winner, Oscar's sort of the runner-up. You take a look, he finished off the Solar Crest to buff up that Sven. He got the Shard passed to him as well. So that Spear, being able to hit 2 units with the amount of lockdown that NoPing could then follow it up with, that's absolutely massive. You stun up 2, you get him with the Impale, you get him with the X into the Torrent. It just sets up so much for them, and now that was an Ags finished off by Dark Mago. So he's going to have the Torrent Storm on top of all of that, and Infamous, it really feels like your situation now is we can fight in the 6 to 8 seconds of our BKBs, and once that's done, we are done.
Yeah, and you take a look now, here comes the high ground defense. It is very obnoxious to push into Infamous, especially once you do get that 40% Sandstorm slow and blind. Combine it with the Sandstorm AoE talent, feels a little bit stupid, I'll be honest there. It is still very difficult to get on top of that Sand King. But I'm just looking at Lumiere and seeing him desperately trying to get this Assault Cuirass finished up, trying to give a little bit of damage mitigation over to his allies, but it's just not in the cards. And here we go. Here's the push.
Tier 3 is
Shard
taking
as
an
well.
absolute beating. There's going to be the Carapace. They've stunned up Angel. They hit him with the Arena into the Spear Stun. Sacred already out of the fight. No buyback available. And now Lumiere, with his BKB active, he's trying to hold his ground. Alone is dishing out damage from the back line, but not sure if it's going to be enough. They are dropping Angel low, but even if they get through him once, he's got that Aegis to fall back on. They would love to be able to hold it, though, for as long as possible. But Angel, he is going to get cleaned up by that meld hit, and now the tossback actually pulls Matthew away from his teammates, but they haven't finished him off. Lumiere is now actually the one who's stuck. His BKB wears off. He gets stunned up by Angel. Angel just going to absolutely tear through them. As Lumiere will fall, Michael falls as well. A buyback comes in from the Hoodwink, but it's just not enough. Caught up in the Torrent Storm, will be taken down. Alone was able to dodge it with the BKB, but once that wears off, there's Angel. In again. Stun connects. Oscar's pushing in with the Blink, looking for the Spear, connecting onto the hut. Good play from Michael with the Bushwhack, though. That's going to create a little bit of time, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, they call
Alone's
it.
dead, and the GG comes out.
Yeah, it's just whoever has to be forced into those BKBs first. NoPing were always the ones making that forcing play. They were always making those soft initiations where you have to make a very difficult decision. Are you going to pop your BKBs, or are we going to kill you with BKB on or off CD? And Infamous, they're good players. They know what they need to commit to survive, but it's exactly what NoPing want. Again, I think Infamous, they definitely threw away their lead here and there, but you can't really blame them. I think they had some fantastic plays. Love seeing Sacred Sand King. Love seeing him actually able to play the initiator I know him to be, but they just had to play versus too good of a lineup. I think NoPing, incredibly comfortable. They've done this so many different times. Seeing this Dark Mago Kunkka just come out last phase as well, just a little bit too much for me, as well as getting Angel on what is now becoming, I think, one of his most successful heroes in this patch, stepping away from the Medusa and the Luna just a little bit, but still coming in full force. It's the same Angel. In the Infamous, they had this cute tiny pick. They were able to really play around the tempo, but the tempo lineup fell behind, and if you're a tempo lineup and you fall behind, you lose. That's just plain and simple. That's how it goes, but really well-deserved victory from NoPing.
Yeah, NoPing just played that so exceptionally well, and as you said, ET, you can't really lay any of this at the feet of Sacred. He got put on a hero that could be more active. 8, 7, and 17 is maybe not the greatest stat line we've ever seen, but every single time there was a team fight, he's in, he's getting the burrow onto 3, 4 heroes at a time. Those epicenters were well placed. It's just, from that position 3 role, there's only so much he could do, and the team fight from NoPing just kind of outpaced him in the end. They had that burst, they could jump in initially, but when the fight started dragging on longer and longer, NoPing just kept on pulling ahead. And I think at this point, if there was really one thing for Infamous that you had to identify, maybe not from their own play, but just the strategy overall, I don't think there was quite enough respect shown to Dark Mago's pool. They let him get the Tiny in Game 1. They let him play the Kunkka in Game 2. So obviously there are other factors, but if you're in an elimination game and you're going to let the opposing mid laner play options A and B in terms of what his best heroes are, this is kind of what's going to happen. Dark Mago just put on a show, and he wasn't the only one, but you never saw any drop-off in his level of play in this series.
Yeah, and I think Infamous really playing against that sort of anti-pick priority. I think that they didn't really have that slam pick that you would want to have in that second phase. As much as I love the Sand King, I think in their pick order, even though they do have these cool picks, they have the support gyro that they like to bring out when they really need to. They were able to move around their position, keep the enemy team guessing. Well, they weren't keeping NoPing guessing. They were able to really narrow in on a bunch of those bans. I think that's the entire reason Lumiere ended up on this Tiny. There's simply no hero that he was going to feel comfortable with, and they would have rather gotten Alone, something that they could have maybe put a little bit more of a fight versus this Dark Mago Kunkka. But Dark Mago doesn't skip a beat. He's just such an incredibly stable mid laner. Really excited now to see what he's going to be able to pull out tomorrow in that losers bracket grand final. But really, just in both of these games, Dark Mago, big MVP.
Absolutely. Leading his team to the victory. And as you mentioned, ET, we get to see them again. NoPing will be in action tomorrow in that lower bracket final up against 4 Zoomers. So they've got themselves a bit of a shot at revenge here. If Dark Mago and really the team in general can play in that series the way they did here, then 4 Zoomers are going to have quite the challenge on their hands. So, excuse me, very much excited to see what NoPing can do against 4 Zoomers. That series will be up first tomorrow afternoon. The winner will then play Undying in the best of 5 grand final. You will have our Cryptic and Neff back on the mic for that grand final day as well. So they are going to be covering that final day of Pro Series 7. And with that being said, we are now done, both with the day and, unfortunately, for the two of us, with our appearances in this series. ET and I, as previously mentioned, will be stepping aside so our Cryptic and Neff can get that final day. So thank you very much, everybody, for, well, just sort of letting us come in here and do our things. Big shout out to BTS for throwing us in here. And we are, let's say, excited, not just for tomorrow, but for some future events as well. ET, well, last time for a little while that we're going to get to talk to the nice folks. Anything you want to say?
Just make sure to be here tomorrow. There's a lot of skin in the game, especially for teams like NoPing, like 4 Zoomers. I think that's going to be a very interesting series. And then if Undying can do it, I know I've been watching their stretch goal. I've been watching the GoFundMe, and it's amazing seeing all the support coming out for a team that is now really punching up into TI. So if they are able to win it out, all the praise goes to them. If they aren't able to win it out, all praise still goes to them. I'm really excited. NA scene's exploding, I think, right now. It's all fantastic to watch. So thanks to you guys and everybody who's consistently watching these games, because it's a lot of fun for us, and I hope you're having a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, just the chance to show off some of these squads from North and South America. I know the region gets overlooked a lot, and there's a bit of a reason for that. Maybe not all of it's fair, but it's the way that things go, or way that things goes. But this event in particular really lets us shine a light on some of those teams that really don't get the spotlight quite as often. So tomorrow, NoPing versus 4 Zoomers up first. Winner then plays Undying in that best of 5 grand final. So please, please, please check that one out. I know, obviously, it's not going to be as entertaining because, you know, ET and I won't be casting it, but our Cryptic and Neff, you know, I mean, they're pretty good. They're okay. You know, they're worth maybe giving a shot if you want to watch some Dota. I can't do too much of that. Neff will absolutely destroy me if I continue to trash talk him. So they will be in action tomorrow afternoon. But for us, one last time, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you tune in tomorrow as well, and hope you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you very much, and we will see you soon on Beyond the Summit.